get into this conversation now. The South African Police Service has reportedly paid over 2 billion rand through litigations for wrongful arrests since the year 2018. This came out during a parliamentary response by the Minister of Police, Peggy Cele. The Democratic Alliance has cited this to understaffing and underfunding, including the undertraining in the police service. Let's unpack this now, and we're joined by Willem Els. He is with the Institute for Security Studies. Mr. Els, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. Let's begin with this 2.2 billion rand in civil claims, and among other issues, wrongful arrest, people staying in jail cells for longer than 48 hours without being charged. These are just some of the claims against the police service that have pushed up this number to 2.2 billion rand. What does this tell us about the police and how they run?
Good evening to you. Yeah, I think you touched on some of the reasons there. Resources will always be a challenge in South Africa nowadays, where we have a police service that is under-resourced and also understaffed. But what you also mentioned there is training. It is very important that the police invest in training. You know, there's no excuse for a police officer that has been well trained to, for instance, hold a suspect for longer than 48 hours in a cell. There's no excuse for that. They're all being trained in that. They all know the law and they have to adhere to the law. So that is one of your challenges, training, that we have to focus on that. And also the mentorship and the coaching that needs to be done at police station level, where the senior and older members have to coach and mentor the younger members, but also oversight is a challenge. If you are in charge, or you're a shift commander, or you are the commander in the charge office, you should know how long your prisoners are in their cell, and you should also know who of them should actually be charged within the next few hours or so, because that law has been in place for many years, and every policeman is very knowledgeable about that. There's no excuse for that.
2.2 billion rand is a lot of money, Willem Els, and when we talk about that amount of money in relation to where it can be used to bolster the police service. For example, Andrew Whitfield, he's with the Democratic Alliance. I think this is the person who actually asked this question from the DA benches in Parliament. And he says a crippled reservist corps with 93.3% less personnel than a decade ago. That's just one of the issues where this money could plug some of the gaps that are there in the police. There are a lot of other issues. Talk about crime intelligence, for example, that has been complained about for years, because these are the people that are supposed to detect crime before it even happens, but communities are left exposed because of those kinds of shortages. Surely the police could use this money to good use.
Yes, Tolly, you know, you are so right. You know, you have situations where several, for instance, several detectives have to make use of one vehicle between them in order to investigate their cases. There are some police stations where you've got one or two vehicles running that are serviceable. So this money could have been spent there. Also in the reservists, there's a big challenge for that. You know, reservists are normally people that volunteer to work, and then they are trained. They receive a small amount to cover their costs. But those are the people that actually augmented the forces of the police in the numbers, and that helped also with their experience where the younger members were. But one of the challenges that we also have with these type of civil claims that we have against the police is, you know, there's a problem in the police, and there seems to be a challenge when it comes to the internal service, or the internal disciplinary service within the police, where there seemed to be a culture of impunity. Whenever you as a civilian institute a claim, that claim goes against the Minister of Police, it goes to his office, and then the Minister has actually to reply to that, and then the legal team will decide whether they're going to contest it, whether they're going to settle or whatever. But that police officer on the ground, there should be repercussions for that police officer on the ground. And we don't see that at the moment happening in the police. So there's a culture of impunity. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to adhere to these regulations, because at the end of the day, minister will pay and nothing else will happen. So we will have to address that situation in order to rectify this situation.
I've got a much simpler question for you, Willem. A Gauteng man was awarded 2.6 million rand after his unlawful arrest and detention. The name of this person is actually mentioned in the article I was reading, Ntokozo Patrick Kulu. And this amount of money was awarded to him. What pushes police to make wrongful arrests? Is it pressure?
Yeah, it's a question that, remember, we must always remember that there is a human factor. People do make mistakes. And if people do make honest mistakes, then we have to make provision for that. So policemen may make mistakes. But there's, within a police station, you as a junior officer, you have senior officers, you have a commander, and up to command, you can ask questions and they can guide you. So there's no excuse for them to actually wrongfully detain this person, refraining this person from his freedom, taking away his freedom, putting him in a police cell for sometimes longer than the 48 hours, depriving him of his or her rights, and then at the end of the day, for the investigation to take place and the detective to find that there is no prima facie case, or there's no case that can be investigated against this person, and then this person is released. Or, for instance, a case docket is investigated, and then by the time it reaches the NPA or the prosecutor, then they decide there is no case and they refuse to prosecute, they nolly prosecute. That is a challenge, because you as a police officer, with experience, you know the law, you're supposed to know the law. When you do your investigations, there are certain elements of a crime that you have to prove when you are investigating. And when you see that is not the case here, then those steps should be taken, and a person should be released, and then rectifying steps or remedial steps should be taken. But we don't see that. We see that the police, at the moment, it seems that it's a free-for-all when it comes to arrest. If they don't like you, they abuse their power, and then they arrest you, lock you up in the cells, even if it is for 24 hours, depriving you of your freedom. And that is a devastating effect on people, to be thrown in a cell and being deprived of their freedom. And it seems that there are no repercussions for these police officers.
Sure. For a court to have awarded, to have instructed, I should say, the court ordered the police to award this amount of 2.6 million because, in part, this man suffered a mental breakdown whilst he was in police custody. His wife left him while in detention, not to mention some of the things that he suffered whilst he was in custody. What is the responsibility of the police while holding someone in detention? Because let's be clear, if a court has not convicted you for a crime, you are an awaiting trial person, or should we say suspect. And how should you be treated versus those that are convicted? In fact, should you even be kept in the same holding cell as those people who are convicted?
Yeah, you must just understand that when someone has been arrested, you are innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. So what happens in some of your, if your misdemeanors, if your lesser serious crimes, then even the detective can award you a bail. So you don't have to be arrested or to be locked up for that night. So in certain cases, yes, the detective can come and they can decide on bail, and you can settle, and the bail can be posted, and you can go free. Otherwise, within 48 hours, you have to be arraigned in court. When you get to court, first thing is then your bail application is then being heard. Only in very serious cases, a bail is being refused. So for this person to be incarcerated for so long, that seems to me like somewhere there must have been a serious miscarriage of justice, and hence also the huge amount that have been allocated to this or awarded to this person by the court.
Willem Els, let me thank you very much for your time and analysis. He is with the Institute for Security Studies.